What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. This is TW Motorsports, and today, yes, we're going to be working on the Trailblazer SS, trying to finish up kind of what we started in the last video on it. So in that last video, you guys saw me replace the antenna. So we got that short antenna on there. Looks way better. We replaced all the interior bulbs with LEDs, and we replaced the rear reverse lights with LEDs and the license plate lights with LEDs. So on to the front. As I said, the next video on this thing would be me replacing the front. So we'll look at what I've got here in a second, but the reason I'm replacing the front, obviously, I like LED headlights. When you're driving something, it's just so much nicer looking. And so that's one of the reasons. Obviously, I want to upgrade as far as driving. I'm going to be tinting the windows way darker. As a matter of fact, that might be, by the end of this video, that might be finished. But the headlights, you can see they're starting to delaminate on the outside, as well as a couple places on the inside. So I decided to buy new headlights. Now, I bought all new housings. I bought all new replacement bulbs. And like I said on the Suburban video, I think that this new bulb that I'm using is just insane as far as the turn signal, but we'll get to that. And then in the back, when I put the back in, I told you guys, or maybe you noticed, I had some issues with this tail light, and it was flickering, and I noticed that the actual plug was kind of screwy, and so I've got a replacement plug that we're going to be putting in there. And then I've got new taillight housings. And the reason I'm replacing the taillight housings, same thing, they're kind of delaminating, but they're delaminating on the inside. So right down here where you see the bulbs plug in, that chrome is all delaminating and looks kind of junky. So we might as well update it while we're doing it. And I know this thing's nasty. It will be all cleaned up by the end of this video though, so it will look nice and shiny. But let's get started. Let's walk over here and see what we've got, because we have all the stuff kind of piled up over here. I've got stuff scattered everywhere, guys, for all these projects. But anyway, let's look. And no, I know the Trans Am. New housings. Now, I chose to go with the housing that has, as you can see, the clear side marker instead of the orange, and then it has the black surround. So I thought that looked a little nicer. You can also see that we're going to have a video coming very soon on the headlights on the Sierra. Now, there's some issues there with that. So anyway, what we've got here, we've got a ton of stuff, but we've got the headlights, we've got the tail lights, we've got new bulbs. It's all over here, kind of mixed up. So I've got headlights for the Sierra mixed with the headlights for this. So I've got, like I said, I have crap everywhere. Anyway, let's set you guys up on a tripod. I think I'm going to start in the front. That's why I've got it face this direction. And I am actually still waiting on the plug for the back. But you guys, like I said, we'll see all this in one video. Let's get started by going out and giving it a walk around before, and then of course I'll give you guys one afterwards. So I wanted to give you guys a before and after, obviously. And this is before. Obviously we've got some dingy halogen lights, and I do have the fog lights on. And to be quite honest with you, the fog lights are probably some of the brightest I've seen factory. They actually do pretty well. They seem to be a little bit brighter than the headlights. But like I said, the housings are kind of delaminating, and so we're going to fix that look. Obviously, we're going to be doing a huge upgrade. And then in the back, same thing here. The lights are kind of delaminating on it, and wanted to just update the look. But let's drive down the road, and we'll take a look at what it looks like kind of driving in the dark. Driving down the road here, and I'll try to take the same route once I get the new bulbs and lights in. But these are our dims, and then our brights, and the fog lights are still on. So if I turn them off, let's see if I can do that here. If I can find, they're off. Fog lights on. I wonder if I can just go, that's fog lights only, no lights. So I think we can make a huge improvement. Let's go get this thing in the garage, and then we'll come back out and take a look at it once we're all finished up. So I was just looking at this, and there's a couple gripes I want to share with you guys before we get started. First of all, look at the fitment, the factory fitment of the headlight. Just not stellar, right? So they're not much to live up to when it comes to replacing the headlights as far as the fitment, because to me, that is some terrible alignment. Now, That's factory, but looks terrible. The other thing is, what, a prop rod, really? You know what's crazy is the Saab. So the Saab that I used to have had struts, didn't have a prop rod. So to me, that's absolutely nuts that you would build a kind of performance-oriented car and you would still have a prop rod. So I know that they make something to address that. This thing is so filthy under the hood. It's so nasty. I need to clean it. But we will probably be doing that at some point because I hate prop rods. Anyway, I just wanted to vent to you guys for a second. Let's get this thing apart. So this thing goes together like Legos. So I'm using a piece of like a plastic pry tool. And the only reason I'm doing that is to kind of relieve some of the pressure as I'm pulling. You're not putting all the pressure on the plastic here. Just gives it a little more to work with. And some of your tabs may pop out, pretty common. This makes me so nervous taking stuff like this apart on older vehicles. Looks like the bottom is bolted. So we'll get a couple 10s, see if we can reach down there and get those unbolted. I think we're loose everywhere else. There's one more clip here. There we go. There's a butterfly stuck behind that. Golly, you just feel like you're going to break it. All right, there's two 10 millimeters straight down. We're going to need a pretty good extension to get to those. So I lied to you guys. Those 10 millimeters that I took out didn't even need to come out. It literally is all clipped in place. Crazy. Anyway, these are the 10s that I took out, and that's actually a push-in clip. It's not even what I thought it was. So now that we got that out, let's see if we can get the headlights out. So it looks like to get the headlights out, there's these two little clips that pull up. One on that side, and the other one's kind of back in the fender a little ways. Just gonna use a flathead to pull it up. And they should stay in the car. Maybe there's two more. Doesn't seem like it, but. I'm hoping we don't have to pull the bumper off, but it's starting to look like we may have to loosen the bumper to get them out of the way. I don't know that it's going to clear on the bottom if we don't take the bumper loose. Sure doesn't feel like it. It's really, really close on this bumper down, this leading edge. I'm going to say we're going to have to take the bumper loose. So after loosening the middle, I was able to get it loose enough to push the bumper down a little and get it loose. So now all we need to do is just unplug these guys. It looks like there's two plugs. There's one coming in on the top and one on the bottom. We'll get those unplugged. And this is all one piece. It releases the top and the bottom with that one lever. So we'll get this unplugged and out of the way. So remember when I said there were two plugs? Actually 3 plugs. But we got the old housing out of the way. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Other than it's all laminated, delaminated. Let's go grab, well, we'll get the other one out and then we'll go grab the new one because the new assembly does come with headlights, but I don't want to use those headlights. So we're going to have to, I guess, take this case apart. It looks like these little guys cover the bulbs. We're really hoping there's enough room within this to possibly reuse some of this. I don't know though, it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be a pretty tight fit. I don't know where our wiring is gonna go, but we'll figure it out. So I got both of them out, and this one fought me a little bit. It's kind of an oddball deal the way this bumper kind of pushes in, but anyway, I'm gonna take this time to grab some cleaner. You guys know how I am. And I'm gonna go grab me some super clean, and we're gonna spray this down and clean all this up, because, well, I don't know that I can put new lights in without doing that. It just makes me crazy. So I'm gonna go grab some stuff, clean this up. I'll do that off camera, and then we'll grab the new lights, see if we can start switching in the bulbs that I wanna use. We've got all that area cleaned up. We're gonna go ahead, and you're gonna have to rob the plug-in here. There's no real good way to reach it for this upper light that goes on the side, because the new headlight housings do not have that. I'm hoping I don't break it, but there's just no good way to reach in there and grab it. So we need to get this out. I'm gonna have to go get a separate set of pliers here. There we go. This bulb was burnt out, has been for a while, but you can see what I'm talking about. This housing, we have to have that. Other than that, that should be all you need off the old housing. So what we've got is brights and dims, 9005, 9006. You guys know that I like aux beam as far as headlights go. They've just been great. Haven't had any issues. So that's what we're going to be using for the headlights, and I'll list all this stuff in the description down below. Obviously, I showed you guys the housing. I told you I was really excited after doing the Suburban about these las fits, and so we're going to be using not only las fit in the upper light here, but we're also going to be using the las fits for the turn signals, because I know they're expensive, guys, but I'm telling you, I've used, I don't know how many bulbs. There's no hyperflash. Everything is works like it's supposed to. There's just no issues. And so once you have something that works, you stick with it. Same way with these. These are CAN bus enabled. So we're going to pull this old bulb out, set it to the side, and we're going to push this new one in. Not a whole lot to it. Now we need to put, obviously we need to put this in the new housing. And it goes in just like the old one came out. May have to use those pliers to cinch it down. You want to make sure that you get it as tight as you can, just because especially in that corner, any issues there and it's going to leak, and you don't want it to leak. So we're setting in there. Ooh, that's a tight fit. That is tight, but it went in. So we'll test all this obviously before we put everything back together. But here, this is where I'm wondering if we're going to have an issue. Obviously we're going to have to take these out, but I don't know how much room we're going to have. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get our wiring in there, but we need to twist these out. I may have to use pliers for it as well. Yeah, that is a tight fit. That's the downside to housings like this. There we go. These sealed housings, while they do a pretty good job of keeping moisture out, they're such a pain to put bulbs in, you know? So there's the old one, and guys, if you don't know, 9006, 9005, but it'll say on the back of the old bulbs. Now, generally these aftermarket LEDs will plug in either way, so just watch what you're doing, pull a 9006 out, put a 9006 back in. Actually, before I even do that, let's put this other las fit in for the turning signal. And these things are massive. Look how big that is. And I take that back, it looks like we may have to have the housing for it as well. And we are. Look at that bulb. So you are going to have your housing for it. This is an odd deal. Trying to figure out how it fits in here. Oh, there we go. Just got to get the right direction. All right, we'll keep going. I'll get these lights in and then I'll let you guys know how they fit. I'm not sure how well it's going to work out. We may have to put the heat sinks on the outside here. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm going to have a screwdriver, it looks like. Maybe not. So 9005. And anyway, we'll put those in and then I'll let you guys know if I'm able to tuck that in there. I don't think they get super hot. They don't have heat sinks on them like the older models. So if I can tuck them up in there, I'd really like to do that. If not, we may have to like kind of loop them out and then put the little rubber cover over and see kind of how it goes. So I got the bulbs in there and I probably could fit that in there, but I didn't like the way that it fit. So what I did was I notched those little rubber covers, and just for my own sanity, I'm gonna put some tape around that to kind of help fill that void. Now, I don't think a lot of water probably gets to that area, but any moisture I don't want in there. So I'm going to use some black tape, kind of wrap it around this, and while it's not my favorite method, it's just kind of part of it, you know. The other thing, guys, is there's a little set screw inside of these housings. Little bitty, where's it at? Okay, on this side right here, you can see it, and it's a Phillips. And what you can do is you need to possibly move this around to get it to where your bulbs are facing straight up and down. Like you can see my bulb in there, how it's facing straight up and down. That is the way you want this thing to face. So at this point, this one's finished, other than, like I said, I'm gonna wrap this up. Now, there's enough room to sneak that back behind, and in fact, I'll show you here. You can see this area here. I'll be able to sneak those back into this housing, so shouldn't have an issue there. And then, like I said, because it's so protected, I don't think probably a lot of water gets up in there, but just to be on the safe side, we are going to put a little bit of black tape on it, and then we'll get it put into place. Now that we got everything hooked up, we're going to attempt to plug it in and make sure everything's working. You may have to, some of these bulbs, you guys know if you've done LEDs before, are polarity specific, so sometimes they don't like to go the way they're supposed to. And they don't give you a lot of leads. To be honest with you, I don't think there's nearly enough lead here for the amount of bulbs. I'm going to plug that one in last. So I'm going to feed those up into that opening while I'm pushing it in. Hopefully it'll go. I think it will. It did. And I'm going to pull this out just enough to plug this top one in. Like I said, you do not have a ton of room here, guys. So got it back in place. Let's just push that down for now. I think we're good. Let's go, let's turn it on and see what happens. Well, I got no headlight. This light's working. What about the blinker? Probably gonna need a key. We'll try the blinker, but the headlight is not working. So the bright is working, but not the dim. So we'll reverse the dim and see what happens. So I switched it. Like I said, you can plug them in. It's just so weird. Anyway, switched it. Let's see now what happens. All right, so we got dim. Oh wait, that's dim. That's bright. Let's test the turn signal here. And we got a turn signal now. Perfect. So now I'm gonna wait. Actually, I don't know why I'm gonna wait. I said I was gonna wait to take the plastic off, but honestly, I have to take it off to put the grill in place anyway. So we're gonna just repeat the same process on the other side. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And then we'll be able to hopefully reassemble the grill, and then we'll move on down to the fog lights. Now that I've got the headlights in, slid in, the pin slid down, everything's in place, and man, I gotta tell you, they're looking nice. So we need to put this back together. And remember, the reason I took this apart was so I could pull the bumper back a little to get a little more leverage on the getting the headlights in and out. Not a whole lot here, just that push-in clip here and the two 10 millimeters. Now we can grab the grill. And while I was off camera, I did wrap the emblem with some black vinyl. The emblem was kind of beat up and looked kind of crappy, so I thought it'd make it look a little nicer. This is what makes me nervous, like putting, I don't know why, but on my new headlights, I just don't want to scratch them. Legos. You just got to make sure we get them all snapped in. There's one in the center, two here, two in your headlights, and then I think 4 across the top. There's little pegs that you have to get in at the top here. Just seems like that'd break easy. I don't know. I didn't do the best job wrapping it. You guys won't be able to tell on camera, but I don't know. I know when I do good work wrapping, and I know when it doesn't look great, and to me, it doesn't look great. Can't argue with the front of this thing. Let's turn the lights on. I'm gonna give you guys, kind of show you, of course we'll go out at night too, but I just wanna show you how much better this looks. So actually, before I do that, I was gonna show you guys, then I got to thinking, wow, I didn't put the fog lights in. So this is the fog light bulb. Just twists out and unplugs, and you can reach it right under the bottom. The cool thing is this thing isn't lowered yet, and pretty easy to pull these out. Now, Oxbeam did not make a light this size. It's like an 893, I think, or 891 or 890. I think they're all interchangeable, but they didn't make one, so I had to go with a different company. I wanted to get the same color, so I believe these are 6 or 5,000 K, and I don't remember which. I'll list it in the description, but I duplicated that with these, so we'll just have to see how they look. If I don't like them, I can always replace them, but let me go grab those. So Ninmo 2, I guess? I don't know. The different brand that I've never used before, and they're pretty elaborate. They're really meant to be headlights, so I don't know how I'll like these, but I can tell you one thing. The way it's put together, this shielding on this wire is ridiculous strong. So I'm interested to see what kind of light output these things make. It looks like I may have to tie up some stuff underneath, and I'll show you guys that if I have to. I'll put the camera down there, but I'm just gonna twist these in, and we'll test them. And then if I have to tie, which I'm pretty sure, I mean, look at the difference. you're adding this much wire to it. So I'm pretty sure I'll have to tie it up somehow, but I'll figure something out and I'll show you guys underneath there. So take a look. Those fog lights are crazy bright. Look at the reflection down here in the floor of it. They're bright. Definitely brighter. I'm interested to see this at night, but let's turn the blinker on and show you guys those switchbacks. Look how much brighter that is. Of course, the housing does a lot, but holy cow. Way different look. So those wires do, we are gonna have to move those. You can see the one hanging out from the bottom down there. I'm just gonna zip tie those up and try to find a place or a home for them. There's a lot of area down there to tie them up. There's actually a bracket right there that I can tie them to. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, and then kind of route my wire around, and then I'll show you guys under there. But then we can flip around to the back and get started on it, because we're complete on the front. I wanted to show you guys how I tied up the bottom. So I actually drilled a hole in the top and the bottom of this bracket so I could get a zip tie in there. It sets nice and flush in that channel, and pretty sturdy. So there's a lot more wiring on this, obviously, so you're gonna have to tie it up somehow. I mean, you could probably two-sided tape it to the back side of the bumper, but in case that gets warm, I wanted it to be up against metal. So we're good there. Let's move on. Now, one of the things I forgot to talk about before we go to the back is I did buy new LEDs to go in the mirror. So we're gonna attempt to put those in. So what you need to do is you need to fold the mirror forward, and then up underneath here, so like right here in this opening, there is a T10 bolt or screw that we need to take out. Now just remember, guys, these things are really, really flimsy, so you need to be somewhat careful when you're maneuvering them around. So you got the 10 out, and you're supposed to be able to push it up and forward to disengage it from the bottom of the mirror, just like that. So all I bought, they make some really cool replacements here. See if we can get this thing unplugged. It's been in there for 100 years, I'm sure. Tell you what, let's just take that out. I'm gonna take this aside and try to clean it up a little bit because it's nasty, but all it is a bulb, and I've got those new replacement bulbs. I'm gonna try to push one of those in. Same bulbs that we use in the front, but let's go grab that. I'm gonna clean this up off camera. Same thing with this, and we'll see if we can get them in there. So mine has a little bitty crack in it, but still in good shape. And if you can pull this apart so you can clean inside of it. There's a little section right here, and then there's a little tab in the top. If you release that, kind of pinch it and pull this out, you're able to get it apart to give it a better cleaning. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I was able to clean all that up, but before we just slap this thing back together, I wanna make sure that it's gonna work, right? So a lot of times these go back and forth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it together. That is like the tightest fitting. This is like a rubber, piece of rubber. So let's try it. It works. So we're good to put it back together. You can see this cleaned up pretty well. I'm actually kind of impressed with how well it came clean. So all we have to do is put this guy back together. It looks like, okay, there's a certain way it goes in. There's a really big section there. So the light faces out, just like we took it apart. So we'll feed it back up in there and put the screw back in. At this point, we're ready to take the tail lights out. Got it turned around. And as opposed to taking it out by hand like I did last time, I chose to use a drill. Now, There's nothing wrong with these taillights for the most part, but I don't know, I'm picky. And so in the bottom, in the reverse light, it just looks like it's starting to delaminate on the inside. And I don't know, I just don't like the look of it. Holy cow, those things are in there. So that other side, you remember we have some burning. I'm gonna clean this up again, but there's some burning on that plug. So I've ordered one, and I think it's supposed to be here today. So hopefully it is, and we can replace that. But let's clean this up. We're gonna have to take these out because I want to use my new LED reverse lights. But the kit that I'll list below for the taillights, we'll see how the fitment is. They're not GM. It seems to be the reviews are pretty good. So we'll just have to see, but generally the brands that I buy, it's the same brand like a body shop would buy if it was rebuilding, and they have to meet a certain standard. So, whether it does or not, we'll be able to tell here real soon. Once we get that out, we'll swap the bulbs. Looks like I've got one that's kind of burned anyway. We'll swap that bottom bulb into the new light. I like to hit the unlock button to test this before we put it back in. And it is working, so we can go ahead and I am using the same one that came out of the new light and the screws that came out of the new light. You notice that they're like a polished or a stainless screw, whereas the factory ones were black. But just to make sure that we don't cross thread anything, we're going to use those. I like to do these by hand because they are real easy to strip. A little bit of bad news. I told you guys that shipment was supposed to be here today, and I just checked it, and it says that it's one of those deals where it's lost and they don't know where it's at. So I thought that's okay. Generally, a local parts store carries this, so I go to the local parts store. They can get it. They didn't have it in stock. It's $70, and the one that I ordered was $12, and it's the same part number. So what I'm going to do is, or what I have done actually, is I've cleaned this up really, really well, and with a pick, as much as I can get scraped off. It's just kind of charred over. Now I noticed that the other light had some charring on it as well. So what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm just going to put it back in, and once I actually get the plug, then we'll come back and replace it. But we'll plug this in. I already got the light swapped over. It seems to me like it fits decent. So we'll just have to see. We'll check it here. Let's try it with the key. Wrong key. It's a problem to have multiple cars. You don't know what key you're pushing. So that's working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it in place, and then we will go turn the tail lights on and make sure there's no issue there. And I'm kind of impressed with the fitment here, guys, because the factory ones don't fit stellar, in my opinion, just like the headlights I was talking about. But the fitment on these taillights is just as good as the factory fitment. I can't complain at all. I'm going to go ahead and screw it all the way in. Might be a little more of a gap on this side than there is on the other. Still, it's not. The factory fitment, like I said, isn't great. All right, let's turn the taillights on. See if they actually turn on, and they do. So we're gonna consider this good for now because, like I said, we'll once I get that plug, then we'll replace it. Actually, one other thing I wanted to show you guys, you see that black in there where the chrome has fallen off? That is the main reason that I'm replacing these. As far as the like light scratches and stuff, that's gonna happen just for an everyday use. And I could wet sand and I could actually probably just buff this out because they're not bad other than that. But no fixing that really unless you wanna completely separate this lens. And guys, to put that kind of work and effort in is not worth it when you can buy another set for as cheap as I got these. So anyway, I wanted to just show you guys, for the ones that may not know why I was replacing the taillights, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So at this point, we are out. I have not aimed these things yet, and so actually they look like they were in pretty good shape the way they were aimed before. But I'm going to take you guys down the same path that we took last time. And I have since tinted my windshield 35% top to bottom. So it's really not gonna do the justice that you might have normally seen. But this is bright, that's dim. And then let's see if we can get the fog lights. That's the fog lights on. So fog lights on, get you a little closer here. Fog lights off. And then we'll go back to bright. I feel like we need to aim them a little bit because the dims are actually better. But definitely an improvement. I'm sure that if I'd have had the window tinted, of course the seatbelt thing's going off, I'm just right by my house here, but if I would have had the window tinted before, it would have been a better before and after in my opinion, but it is better. I feel like those are pointing up in the trees though. The brights seem to be really high. I am gonna probably have to aim them at some point. Before we go in the shop, let's take a look at these new lights. I am telling you guys what a difference it did cleaning up the look of the front of this thing. And it's getting a lot of glare so you can't really see, but let's go to the back too. Of course, you guys know we replaced the taillights as well. Man, it looks so much better. Let's turn the blinkers. Actually, let's turn the hazards on so all the blinkers are on at one time. So the new LEDs in the bottom of the mirrors looks really, really good. And of course, those switchbacks, those things are ridiculously bright. So much different. Definitely a better look. All right, now we can pull it in the garage and take a look at that window tint. Back here in the garage, and yeah, what a huge difference. And you know, I know that it's not gonna be as pronounced as if I didn't tint the windshield. I probably should have done the lights before that, but I had a window tinting appointment and my guy's generally 3 weeks out. So I had to hit him up when I had the chance. But I don't know that I would have driven this thing had it not had the LEDs with the tinted windshield. You guys know that I tint the windshields and just about everything. My old school stuff, I don't do that, but my Trans Am over there, the Corvette, this guy, my Suburban, everything that I daily drive for the most part, it seems like old cars, I just don't know how I feel about tint on older vehicles. That's why I've never tinted these. And I actually had somebody reach out to me about the Sonoma GT, like it needs tinted. I don't know I'm gonna tint it either because I don't know, I might do the Sonoma, but I'm not doing these guys. Anyway, yeah, like I said, it's not as big a difference because I did tint that windshield, but holy cow, you can't argue with the results as far as the headlights. Obviously the headlights look way better. I like that there's no orange there. Now I went back and forth on this guy, but ultimately decided back when I originally put headlights in this that I wanted the kind of the stock look, but on this, because of the white, and I don't know, I just like the look of this. So time will tell how these hold up. They seem to be pretty well manufactured. I still think I may have to aim them just a little bit, but the brightness of the LEDs and how bright those new switchbacks are for the turn signals, absolutely incredible. And then, like I said, 35% on the entire windshield. This thing is pitch black. We got 5% on the sides. We have 5% over the 20% from here back. And so it's dark, that's for sure. Definitely a big difference with the taillights. As you can see, so much brighter. We don't have that delamination. And then let me see if I got that key in my pocket. We can see those LEDs. Yeah, for the reverse lights. Now that this thing is pitch black, we are going to have to put a backup camera in at some point. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did take the bow tie off the back, and Steve that sold me this had a new bow tie here. When I pulled this bow tie off, it actually pulled just a little spot of the paint off. So what I'm thinking is when we eventually do a backup camera on this, which I'm going to mount it right here like the factory would have, kind of in the middle here. So I'm going to have my painter respray this panel, and I probably could touch it up and you wouldn't really notice, but I'm just picky like that. So, and with it being so dark, it definitely needs a backup camera now for sure. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know that you guys are gonna, it looks better. So you can't tell me that you don't think it looks better with the new headlights. And well, next thing on this will be a drop. We are going to lower this thing. Not really sure how much yet. We will get into that when we do that video. But guys, if you did like this video, like always, please go down there and smash that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, guys, go down there and make sure you hit the subscribe button. And while you're down there, make sure you ring that bell icon. That notifies you every single time we drop a new video. All the stuff that I used in this video will be linked down below in the video description. So if you guys want to check any of that stuff out, you guys know that I used the same bulbs on my Suburban back when I did it as far as the turn signals, and I really like those because they don't require any kind of extra attachment. You just plug them in and go. No hyperflash, no issues like that. So I think that is my new favorite bulb when it comes to turn signals, that is for sure. But until then, guys, until we get back on this thing, stay tuned to see what we work on next.